All right, for everyone, please stand. We'll do the pledge. Got your mics on. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Morgan Township meeting, April 12th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustee minutes dated March 22nd, 2021 as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the Morgan Township Board of Trustees public zoning hearing meeting dated March 23rd, 2021 as written.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrants.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment listing from 3/23/2021 through 4/12/2021. Payment number 180-2021 through 262-2021 and warrant number 10572 through 10601 for a total of $123,584.55.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes. All right, do we have anyone from the audience that has anything to say tonight? If not, Mr. Galloway.
Okay, first on the administration report, the county still remains at a level 3. Cases are decreasing, although I'll let Chief Griffith get into that a little bit more on some of the numbers that have just come out. There was some confusing information from the governor's office and the state health director last week, so I'm just going to reiterate. There's a new state health order in place that took effect April 5th and has no end date on it. Basically it's still mandatory to wear a mask covering in the state of Ohio in any indoor locations other than non-residents, outdoors, and et cetera as well. It is still, individuals must avoid gathering in groups and attempt at all times to maintain social distancing. When gathered together, individuals should not be in groups no more than 10 individuals. So that is still in place as well. The other one is the fixed seating, which still takes place when we had talked about the community center a while back. 25% of the capacity of the facility with fixed seating, and then they also address the fixed seating. So those are still in place from the state, and they just went back into official on the 5th of April with no end date on it. So they're still in place. I know there's been some discrepancies and all that about other things, but that is right from the State Health Department director. Second, I'm still continuing along with OTA to monitor the 1.9 trillion stimulus package. As of still yet, none of the townships were in the language from the Congress. However, OTA is still lobbying for that. I do know Butler County itself is getting $75 million. And I heard today that the city of Cincinnati was getting, I forget how many, but they were actually taking citizens, requests from the citizens on ideas what to use the money for. So I don't know if the commissioners are going to do that, but if the townships, the 13 townships, do not get any of this money, perhaps it might be something for the Butler County Township Association to maybe address and see the commissioners, because they've got $75 million and they're starting to figure out what they want to spend that money on. So, and that is all I've got for tonight for Township. I know I'll get in with some of the stuff Rob's got here in a little bit on his agenda. Any questions on the Township side?
Nope.
Okay, Fire Chief's report. First one is a motion for firefighter paramedic Michael Flavin for his 5-year anniversary effective 5/2/21. at $1.50 an hour raise to $19.10 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kolb?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Okay. Number 2, I believe, Tom, you might have received a copy. We got our ISO back, our insurance rating for 21 for the next 5 years. You have in your packet the report as well as the cover letter. We stayed the same. We stayed at a 5Y, which is what we increased in 15 from a 7.9 to a 5. I've identified some things in that for some improvements. We're going to do some improvements in our fire training, as well as we've got a request into ISO to explain, because we've got a 0 on some certain things that were driven through dispatch, which I don't understand that, neither did Buddy Jackson. So they will only talk to me. So we're gonna set an appointment up and talk to the ISO folks why we got a 0 on that. Some of the other things that we can't correct, so the township has 86 fire hydrants in it, and the fire system from Southwest Regional Water, they will tell you, it was never designed for fire suppression. It was designed for drinking water. So that hurts us there. And then the other one that hurts us is a category called credit for deployment analysis. So the road miles that our mutual aid folks have to come, Ross and Riley and all that, Harrison, the road miles that they have to travel with both engines and ladders to the township to get here is another thing we can't control. So there's just a few things in here we can't control. But we are working, I started a plan last week to try and improve some of the training things that I thought that we could improve on through the training division. Now, one thing you have in the very back of your packet, and somehow my packet doesn't have a picture of it. You should have a picture of the tower site in the back. Yes. So I talked with Rob, and Rob and I, a thought came to me and an idea to develop that little spot back there as a training site for the department. Utilize some grants to build a training site. I would like to approach Southwest Regional Water and see if they will tap off of this 10-inch main out here and run a line back there where we have a hydrant, and build us a drafting pit back there so we don't have to keep using dump tanks. And we've already got a roof prop, and just kind of build us a training site back there. It will help us both on ISO, as well as we would have a little bit better site there to train throughout the year. And that little piece is right back there. It's kind of not going to be utilized for a whole lot of other stuff. So my thought was, if the trustees took a look at it, is design a plan to make that little, I already know, Rob, if that's an acre back there, that little spot back there, potentially identify it as a potential trainings facility for this township.
I'm good with that.
How much are you looking at as far as budget and cost? And
Don't
for
know
what you
that,
want?
Jeff,
What does it
because like Rob said, he could do a lot of the road infrastructure in there himself, skin it down, bring the gravel in and stuff like that, and do a lot of it in-house. I'd like to see how I can work out with Southwest Regional about potentially donating or something that they get grants to bring the water line and the hydrant back there. The drafting pit usually is nothing more than a extra large concrete septic tank that they sink in the ground, and that's what you draft out of the ground. So there's a lot of stuff we can do probably in-house or inexpensive. We already own the roof prop that's sitting back there now. So it just came with the ISO and having a fixed facility for training. It just came as an idea maybe a week ago. So I haven't really looked at what are some of the other things that we could actually put back there, or look at, like, again, some AFG grants through the U.S. Fire Administration to put some stuff back in there.
You're not talking any structures or anything like that, right?
No, we wouldn't be built. There'd be no tower or nothing there. Maybe at a point they have the Connex boxes that are actually now a flashover simulator. Something I thought about today is possibly a propane tank prop. Maybe that Premier has an old propane tank that has the gas. We can do the prop in there with the propane to go in and do that, and then you just turn it off and shut it off. So some of those things, but a tower and a fixed structure of that thing is not in the vision and the plan right now, no.
Would you talk about a gravel area or a blacktop or concrete? I mean, if you're using hoses, I think gravel would just wash out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about like heavy stone and then the light stone over top of it. I don't know how much hose we would be actually laying and all that down there versus drafting out a pit, and then some hose just going out around the gravel into the field when we're just doing pumping and drafting training. But that is something to think about, so we don't scrape up the vinyl hose we got versus asphalt in it. So, do I have a budget yet? I haven't even thought about gotten that far yet on the budget.
Does that field need leveled? Or is it pretty level?
It depends on what he wants to do. I mean,
Yeah.
If you want to build a building site of some sort of building, yeah, you're going to have to level it some. If you're just, it just depends on what you want to do, because it does have a slight slope to it. So,
Yeah. At the moment, I don't have any visions of an actual building. It's more of a prop type of venue.
Portable units that you
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe get with Jeff. I can't think of his last name from Premier, and because there is some decent propane props out there that are very efficient. You know, there's a grant out there for an actual car fire prop that's filled. It's just a metal car looking prop, and it just has propane, and you just come in and practice car fires. The propane goes down, and it's over. So
Just like they had over there at, in Indiana. when
at
we went over
FDIC, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Do we have to have any restrictions as far as being away from this tower?
Well, there are some, and I'm still exploring that as well, because there's an old contract that was out there originally that it has that, and I'm looking at that as well. So, like I said, this just came up last week when we got the ISO, and we took kind of a hit with not having a fixed facility that we can actually go over to, and that piece in the corner just looked like a prime piece that's not going to be really used for much else. But yes, and I haven't even talked to Dale yet about what's the zoning and next to the property lines and everything like that. So it's just something to take a look at and explore, and come back to the trustees with here's kind of a drawing and a vision of what we have, looking at the tower restrictions and the zoning and how far we have to be off those property lines.
Okay.
There
So-
could be some, since that is a telecommunications tower, there could be some restrictions in our zoning that said things have to be a certain distance
Right.
away from it.
Sure, and again, that's just stuff that's in the process. If we can't meet in some of the other ones, then it might not be a pursuable thing, so.
Or it might just be a different area in our land.
Could be right behind where the block is there that Rob's got
The
for
gravel.
the gravel back, and just move it back over there.
Jeff, do you have an idea what your size your square is? Because 1 acre is 208 feet by 208 feet squares.
I don't,
So, because there's 43,560 square feet in acres.
okay, I don't. We'd have to look and see what I'm thinking of even proposing that we place in that little area, and then see how it fits, and, you know, not make tight corners for the engine to get in there and make a loop around or whatever, so.
So it basically 208 feet by 208 feet makes a square. So
Yeah, okay. Okay, and third one is, and actually this is corrected now to 4, but I received from Ohio EPA that they have sent out 4 official notices of violations to residents in the township for burning illegal materials. So 4 have gone out, and I think I mentioned it last meeting, and Dale and I are pretty tied in on this one because we're waiting on some pictures from another one. But the minute we get the pictures from a roadway of something illegal, we can just start the process of having Ohio EPA send the letter right to them there and just stop it right now.
Do they have to physically witness the burn? Or
No,
can they
as
just-
long as they see the pictures, they can send the violation. They have the authority and the power to send the violation to that residence right then. once we
Is
show
this
them the
burning
pictures.
outside the hours of the burn ban, or
It's-
burning illegal, like furniture and?
Illegal materials. The burn ban, we usually just warn them and all that, but the ones that we have, the 4 that have been sent so far are illegal materials. Mattresses, office furniture, drywall, shingles of old buildings that were torn down, mattresses. The one I caught him burning mattresses and stuff like that. So with any of that, it's basically, and one of the ones that we sent to them, we just got the pictures from right off the side of the road, zoomed in, took them, sent them to them, didn't have to go on the property or get called in, and that's the power they have versus really what we have. We can't physically go on the property with a complaint until there's actually a burn and a complaint called to 911 or to us. So, yep, so. And that's all I've got. Chief's got the March reports, and then just a little bit more of a COVID update, unless you have something for me tonight.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Okay, January to March 2021 versus 2020, we saw a decrease continuing from last year. We're down overall 33 runs for the year. We're down both across EMS and fire. No real explanation of why. I spoke to our billing company as part of our yearly billing review, and she says that most of their accounts are showing a decrease from last year also. So it's nothing that they're not seeing across the board, which also leads to a decrease in billing funds, obviously. We'll have to deal with that, but you know, we can only go to what we get. It's just not out there right now. I think it's a mix of early on, COVID numbers were getting better, and the runs we were having, the difficulty breathing and all that are just not happening at this point. I likely expect that will change here real quick, but we'll see. We may know EMS mutual aids, and we had none transported out of Morgan Township by Ross Township or anybody else.
It's not a bad thing if our numbers be down. That means
No.
people aren't.
It's a good.
They're actually healthier because
they're
they
healthier.
have
So
shots.
it's not a bad
It's not
thing.
bad. It's just, you know, it is what it is.
The flu is almost non-existent.
Yeah, this is the lowest flu season
Or it's
ever,
being diagnosed as COVID.
or that, because they get paid. So, but the numbers are down, and as you see from your active 911, it continues to be a little slow, but you can only go to what it is.
Or they come in multiple runs.
Yeah, they come in 2s and 3s, or mores. But, you know, we don't live on billing money. It's an extra to help extend tax dollars, but we get it, we don't. It's, you know,
It is what it
it
is.
is what it is. As far as COVID, numbers are on the way back up. And Morgan Township had, 45053 had 4 cases for a 1.3 increase in cases. The 7-day average for Ohio is up to 2,048 cases a day from 1,941. Most of these are, it's a little different this time. Most of these cases are in the 30 to 39 category. This new variant strain is affecting the younger generation people over the older. The older got their vaccines. There's some vaccine hesitancy in the younger 20 to 40-year-old category, as we see, and that's reflected in the increase. But for the first time, the young age brackets are getting admitted to the hospital, and that's what you're seeing. But across the state, ICU admissions are going back up, hospitalizations are going back up, and case count is going back up. Some states are seeing a double-digit increase. Michigan, Pennsylvania, among the few that are seeing large increases, that they're getting ready to shut down surgeries again and go back to where we were in phase 4, 3, and 2. So numbers are going up, and it's also because people are getting the vaccine and getting a little lax. You can still spread the virus even though you've had the vaccine. It just protects you. It doesn't protect others. And there's some laxities going on for getting a social distancing and masks. On the other end, new research came out that said the chances of you getting COVID from touching a surface are 1 in 10,000. It's so infinitesimal that we have cut back on some of our cleaning because it's just not showing any success. You're not preventing anything, but you're burning through products. So you should see salt shakers coming back out at restaurants and not some guy cleaning your bass cart every time you go to Kroger, because the research shows that's really not of any assistance in preventing COVID. As far as vaccinations, 31.4% of the state had at least one vaccine, and 18.3 of the whole states completed their vaccination of 2. Johnson & Johnson doesn't, and that includes Johnson & Johnson. So there's about 120,000 in the state of Ohio who have started vaccinations and 70,000 who are completely vaccinated. So as that increases, hopefully we're in a race against the variants, and we'll see where it goes from here. So we'll see. I don't know. People need to keep their masks on. And get the vaccine if you're so inclined. They're still vaccinating twice a week at the Butler County Fairgrounds as part of the Butler County General Health District. I post information on how to get a vaccine on our Facebook page as soon as I get it from them. There's openings for this week still available if anybody wants a vaccine. And it's 18 and up because they're giving Moderna. 16 and up for Pfizer. And I know 600 Pfizers went begging Saturday in Indiana. That was open to Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky residents. So there's plenty of vaccine out there. Any questions? Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Brown?
In my report there I gave you, and also I gave you each a copy of the paving numbers from John R. Jurgensen was awarded the contract for paving. Lehigh Road had a cost of $81,798.32 is what they are talking is going to cost to do that. So with that being said, probably need to have Tina make a purchase order out to John R. Jurgensen for that amount. Even though they haven't done the work yet, it hasn't been billed yet. That won't be billed till later in the year, but just so you have that in place.
That is a fixed cost. It will not go up if cost of materials go up. And
That is a fixed cost. That's a
Okay.
bid price. And if you look at it there is $4,017 in contingencies. So if they do not utilize those contingencies, it could even be less than that. But for right now, we're just gonna say it's gonna cost us $81,798.32.
okay. We want to make a motion to issue a
So
check.
was there 2 of these?
What's that?
Is this the
You're
bid
looking
for
at
salt?
salt. You're
That's
looking
One's
at
for
salt.
salt,
This one here.
This
the
is your
bid
road.
for salt has got all the different companies on it with the different numbers.
This
The
That's
paving estimate for 2021, that is
it's this sheet here.
That is the price from John R. Jurgensen. It says estimate, but that was what Melissa Taylor sent me stating was John R. Jurgensen's price on paving.
I just wondered, because you got 81,000 on your paper and there's 81,798 on this.
Well, that is why I gave you the form that had the actual price on it. Just on my report, I said
Okay, I just
81,000.
making sure, because there's
That's
2
why
different
you have
numbers.
that, that's why I gave you that price there, because sorry, I
Alright,
should have
we're
made
good.
sure that said 81,798.32, but that's why I asked for a purchase order for 81,798.32. That is the exact number.
So how much money are you looking at above and beyond that for culvert repair?
I have no clue on that.
Do you know which ones how many you're gonna look at?
Well, there's 3 that I have, and one is, actually, I do have a clue, take that back. One is 24,000, there's one that's 16,000, and there's another that's 18,000. Now, those aren't exact numbers, but just in a ballpark figure, and those, I could go back and look at that, but, I mean, we're not gonna be able to make that decision tonight. We need to go back and get all those numbers and look at those and decide on that at the next meeting or something, if you want to do that, if you want to pursue it, whatnot, because there's probably about, let's say about
There's about
$20,000.
20,000 left in that BWC fund that we put in there for paving the roads versus what now the estimate was at 81. There's
So
gonna be
where are these
somewhere
other
around
three?
Now, I'm
20,000.
also waiting on a second price to come back. That's another reason why I didn't bring any of that to you for culvert replacement. because I wasn't ready to bring that to you as yet. I'm waiting on a second price for a different type of procedure for fixing these culverts. And when I say culvert repairs, I'm just talking repairs. These are not replacing the culverts. The culvert on North Wind Road is still $150,000 plus to replace that. The $24,000 is what they call putting a shotcrete inside it, lining the bottom half of the pipe with a shotcrete. Now there's another procedure that the county is pursuing, and they are trying to get a bid packet together of the 3 pipes that I've given them. One's on North Wind, which is the big one that's 112 foot long by 66 inches in diameter. That's the one that was $24,000 for doing the shotcrete. There's one on Morgan Ross Road that's 66 feet long by 60 inches in diameter. There's another one that's 48 feet long by 60 inches in diameter on North Dwyer. Those are the 2 that are 16 and 18,000. So.
All right, so how bad is the one on Morgan Ross and how bad is the one on North Wire?
They're the same.
Bottom's gone?
Bottom's gone. Same with the one on North Dwyer. The bottom's gone.
Well, I knew about that one. I didn't know about these. That's why I asked.
Yeah.
So that's what? 300,000 to replace all that or more?
Most likely.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the one on Morgan Ross is going to be a pretty expensive one because it is pretty deep in the ground. That would probably be about as much as what North Wind would be, if not maybe a little more, just because of how deep it is in the ground. Now, the one on North Dwyer, that wouldn't be. We could almost do that one ourselves. Maybe get the county to help us to do that one, and that would make it come in a lot cheaper. The one on North Dwyer, but the one on North Wind, to have it replaced, it either have to be a contractor or the county to do it. But the one on Morgan Ross would also have to be a contractor probably to do that one, because it's, like I said, it's in pretty deep.
So how long is that concrete lining supposed to last? I mean, is it just putting a Band-Aid on it?
About 20 years is what they're saying. Maybe more.
Okay. So this isn't the money coming out, or the money to pay for the paving and then the excess to do whatever we can with culverts isn't CARES Act money. That was Butler, or Bureau of Workers' Comp.
Workers' comp money.
Okay.
With no stipulations on
Okay.
it. Yes. Yep.
All right.
So maybe that's something we start working on these 3 culverts. Try for that grant again.
Yep.
'Cause it gives us more time to work on it instead of at the last minute.
Yep. And the other wild card in this whole package is the 1.9 stimulus. The language is in there. It's a lot more loose and open language than it was when it was CARES Act, specifically for COVID and everything like that. The 1.9 trillion stimulus has language in there for infrastructure that can be used for infrastructure. So that's why it's so critical that the townships get their share of the money, because it has literally in there infrastructure, water, sewer, infrastructure, roads, or anything like that is in there as a little bit more expanded use of the stimulus money.
So should we maybe get numbers on a cost to replace all 3 of those and try for a grant?
We certainly can try it. The grants are out there, but the stimulus money kind of right now is superseding grants. Grants are kind of been put to the side because they're handing the stimulus money out to every city and county.
No, but you mentioned something earlier that maybe we put this in for the grant, we go to the county.
Yep.
If they just got the money, can you spend some of that money and do us these grants for these different projects? Might be a good way that the townships actually get some of that money to do this.
Yep.
Just a
Well,
thought.
the stimulus money is not going to come out in the form of grants, right?
No, stimulus money, they just,
It's just a, like.
it's
Well,
just, they're cutting the
CARES
check right to the county,
Yeah,
that,
they're getting the 75
to the
million.
county. Yeah,
right to Butler County.
then how does the county divvy it out to the townships?
Well,
By-
they're, right now, they're not.
They don't have to.
No,
They
I
don't
mean-
have to, but
But do we have to apply for, in a grant form? or-
I don't even know if that's even a suggestion or an option yet, or the county's planning on using all the money themselves. That's why I kind of threw the hint out there that if the Butler County Township Trustee Association kind of got together and said, hey, if we're getting cut out and the county's looking for, uses of $75 million, perhaps as an association, we go take some projects to them and say, hey, here's some projects here if you're taking a wish list. Which is what I heard today that they're doing with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's asking for a wish list for the city. They got 300 million or something like that. It was astronomical.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Do you think it'd be wise to get our numbers together and then ask
That's-
for a meeting with, like we meet with them annually and give them, ideas, what we want,
I wouldn't hurt. I
just
mean,
to keep
say
in front of them.
we're 5 years
Squeaky
behind
wheel
on
gets the
paving.
grease.
Say we're 5 years behind on paving roads and we got 3 major culverts to replace at a cost of like 300,000.
I have a feeling it's gonna be more than that. It
Yeah.
might be $500,000 just for those 3, because if you said that one's gonna cost as much up there, that's 300,000, and you got one more, 400,000.
Somewhat.
That could be easy,
Yep.
just for 3 culverts.
So I mean, if it's the same scenario as the CARES Act money, they'll just deposit that right into the auditor's account, earmarked to Butler County, and then it's their money. So, and I know for a fact that one commissioner is already out looking at some projects, so.
You wanna try to get some numbers?
I'm working on them now, I'm just waiting for them to give them to me.
Well, I meant-
I've got 3 numbers for the one company, I'm just waiting for the numbers that come back from the county, because they're going through another contractor, and they're putting a package together to get the bid, so I can't do anything till I get that, and they're,
Well, here was my thought. I'd almost get the numbers to replace them, too.
well, that I'm gonna have to do separate, so.
That's what I mean. That's something else as well. You have both steps. I mean, if we can get the money to replace them, we'd be better to replace them, am I right?
Yeah, they're gonna last longer,
That's,
because, well, the one on North Dwyer, I'm not exactly for sure when it was put in, but late 80s, early 90s, I came in 92, it was already here, so it had to have been like sometime between 88 and 92, I'm wanting to say, because it wasn't done before Bob Copeland got elected in 86, I do know that. So, I mean, you're just not even talking 40 years old and the pipe's already rusted out, so. The
But the
same
new one-
on Morgan Ross Road, you're not even 40 years old on that pipe and it's already rusted out.
But we're not using steel on the replacement, right?
Well, on those bigger pipes, you're probably still
will.
gonna have to use steel. But just, I don't know if, because of the size pipe, it wasn't a thick of steel or a good a quality steel or what. I don't really know. I mean, probably one thing that's not helped these is they're right close to the road. They have a lot of runoff from State Route 129 and from 120, or from North Dwyer, or North Wind, I'm sorry, North Wind. It could be from salt usage too, getting down in there at all that farm chemicals running off. I mean, all that helps to deteriorate a metal culvert. Because there's some culverts that I've seen that I've put in since I've worked here, and I've already had to replace them. Now, when we replaced them, we put in plastic this second time, because the first time all we used was metal pipe. Like there's 2 on Bell Road that we replaced. We had to replace before we paved this last time because they was already rusted out. They didn't even last 20 years. It was just a cheaper metal that was used, and because we use more road salt now than what they did back in the 70s and 80s.
What's the biggest plastic pipe you can get, diameter-wise?
I've seen them 6 foot in diameter before. That's the biggest one that I've seen. I don't know if they make any bigger than that or not.
Well,
And
how big,
plastic.
how big a culvert do you need up on Bell Road?
I don't need any on Bell Road. It's on Morgan Ross Road, North Dwyer.
Well, how big up on North Dwyer or Morgan Ross?
Morgan Ross is 60 inches in diameter, and the one on North Dwyer is 60 inches in
So
diameter.
you could do plastic.
Yeah.
No problem.
I think you could.
So, if I'm not mistaken, I think that account had, and we'll have Connie or Tina check it, I think we got 110,000 BWC refund in that account. If you take the 110 minus, I just roughly did 82,000 for that road, that leaves 28,000 still in that
I was
account.
thinking 90 something for some reason.
No, I was
I
either.
think we got a couple different,
We did, we pulled them up.
payments.
I have a note here of 105,863, I got 105,833, and I think then Connie said it finally, they sent a final check and it was like 110. But if it's 110 and 82, that's 28,000 left in that account. If you went with the 18,000 for one culvert and the 16,000 for the other culvert, that's 34. So the difference is like $6,000 that would be out for the township to at least do two of the three culverts with the gunite,
yeah, the concrete
the
bottom.
concrete. So there's a scenario right there on that. But I think going back to the original with Tom, yours, I think, yes, you need a motion for that, the payment of the lay-high and that amount to Jorgensen, because that is in a fund that's been earmarked for that. So I think now that we have the fixed price and all that, yes.
All right, good to go with it?
Go for it.
All right, I'll make a motion to issue a PO to Jurgensen, blacktopping to pave Lehigh Road from North Wind to Chapel for a total of $81,798.32, and that money will come out of the Bureau of Workers' Compensation Fund.
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes, one quick question on that though. Is it actually out of that fund?
Well, that was the,
CARES Act
I
refund.
don't know where you put it.
CARES Act refund, I don't know what the fund number that Connie put it in, but it was the CARES Act
It was the
refund.
CARES Act
Well, it wasn't
money, but I
CARES
don't
Act,
think it was
was
the
I mean, not CARES Act,
yeah.
workers' comp, reimbursement fund, yeah.
I don't know if that's got a special fund number or
Yeah,
if
and
it
it's
just went
actually,
into
and it's
general.
not CARES Act, it's actually Bureau of Workers' Comp
Right.
refund.
That's why I questioned that.
Yep,
So
Bureau of
it's-
Workers' Comp refund.
So I don't know if it's
We can
in the
clean that
general
up
fund or
tomorrow.
whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll clean that up, what fund that's in tomorrow.
All right.
All right, back to you, Rob.
Okay, the next thing is we received our new mower. It's working real good. Everything seems to be intact with that. We're working on State Line Road using the Durapatcher. We'll move to Schraden Road next and then on Bay Road. We also have some spot patching we have to do on some other roads. We did some spot patching on Race Lane last week where there were some spots along the edge that are broken off. We patched them up. We also did some ditching on Bell Road, thanks to Tom Brucker for helping me with doing some flagging on that. We got a little bit to do on Morgan Ross Road where there's some ponding real close to where Darrell Huff's daughter lives. I don't know if you know where that is. It's like the 2900 block of Morgan Ross, somewhere out there. I've got a little bit to do right through there. I'm going to skip the number 6 and come back to it here, but the prices, they have not officially awarded the contract, but these prices were opened up last week at the bid opening for the 2001 bid opening for the salt contract. Morton Salt was the low bidder at $76.29 a ton for the straight truck dump, which that is what we always get, straight truck dump. we could, if we want to have it blowed in or a piler, that would cost us $83.29 a ton. But I did that once and they bounce it off the top of the salt barn and it's a mess. And
One question, go back to your roads where you've been doing the Durapatch and that. Any chance that we want to use the Nixle system to let people know where he's working on roads, or have we been doing that? I know we talked about doing that at one time. Do we want to do that since we got that system now, or we don't want to do that?
We haven't talked, we've talked about using it for road closures, but I don't know if we want to do it for roads under construction or one-lane restricted roads.
Well, we wouldn't send it as an alert because they don't recommend that because the text, people
Right.
become
Takes it-
insensitive.
Take the urgency away.
It takes the urgency away
Yeah.
if you have everything. Now, you could
I
send
know we
it,
had talked about it, that's why.
you could send it as an advisory and that would only go to their email. That's a possibility, but I wouldn't recommend sending it as an alert. If you want us to send them out as advisories, they would at least get it to their email.
Yeah.
Do you like that idea? If you know where you're gonna be working, have them send that email out, the alert, be working?
honestly, no, I do not like that idea. So, just being honest, I mean, you guys decide what you want to do, but I don't see if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't see anything broke there on why we would need to do that, honestly, but you three are,
You're usually in and out of those jobs. Those jobs are taking half a day.
well,
much
we
more than that.
like, we went up there this afternoon because we had some stuff we had to do this morning. We did that stuff this morning and then went up there this afternoon. We worked this afternoon. Tomorrow we'll go up in the morning, and if we don't get finished in the morning, we'll come back in the afternoon. And we're just taking up one lane of road, and like State Line Road there's not that much traffic on it. It's not that big a deal. Now, it might be more beneficial if we're on Bell Road doing Durapatch and stuff, but to be quite honest, Bell Road, I'm probably not going to use the Durapatcher on it. I probably would do crack sealing or something, or do the milling machine on Morgan Ross Road versus using the Durapatcher, because like this time of year, the thing with using the Durapatcher, I'm a little leery. For example, as Race Lane Road, we was in curves and stuff. We're putting loose stone on curves, and guys are riding motorcycles, and I made sure that we swept that road real good before we left Friday to make sure that I didn't have any accident. Of course, then I got lucky and it rained the whole weekend, so I don't think many people are out on their motorcycles, and traffic has worked the loose material off now. So, but that might be the only way, is if we had to do something like that on a curve, is put a thing out to, but again, that's only for Morgan residents. You're not going to get it out to those people that are cruising the country roads that come down through there. So
I agree. I can see where if we just flood Nixle with messages, whether it's the email or not,
Cry wolf.
it takes the importance.
And that's part of the training. They
away from
they
it.
tell you to be very selective in
Right.
what you nixle out. Because of that, people will become.
That's why I brought it up, see if
Now-
that's something we wanna do or
For,
not wanna
for
do.
road closures, it's all, because we already got the school bus drivers from Ross, like, oh
Right.
man, we love that, we want it, because
Right.
we want to know our change of routes. But the other, it's going to be back to the old tornado sirens, crying wolf too many times, they're not going to pay attention
Now,
to
what we
it.
could do, if you want, we could put it on Facebook and tweet it.
You could do that, but I think it would be abusing the system.
No, I mean, that's what Twitter is for and Facebook.
Right.
I put all kinds of things. I could put that out. Rob could give me them all for the week and the date and time, and we could put it out as one blast on each one.
Because, his work's weather related.
Yeah.
So if he
And
says, I'm gonna be such and such a place next week, that may be
They
totally
don't?
changed. And then you gotta send out something to
Right.
retract it and
Right.
say they're not working there. I just think it'd be more of a headache.
All right. Go ahead, Ron.
and then the last thing on my list
So do we
that I
need to
gave
do
you.
anything with salt yet or not?
Pardon?
Do we need to do anything with?
No, we don't need to do anything with that yet.
Okay.
Well, for number one reason is the contract has not been signed.
It's just,
They're the winning bid right now, so the legal department with Butler County has got to make sure that they followed all the stuff and this and that. That's just what was said at the bid openings. I just brought that to your attention so you see, because last year we was 74, 75 or something like that a ton, and it was with Cargill salt last year. This year it's going to be with Morton salt. And Cargill's actually had it for the last 3, maybe 4 years. Now it's went back to Morton. So, and Morton is $2 a ton, right at $2 a ton more than what it was last year. So. And I do have one other thing to talk about before I finish here. Actually, 2 things. The next thing is I would like to see the trustees after our interviewing Mr. Dan Hurst on Thursday afternoon, evening. I'd like to see us hire him as a seasonal employee from May 1st to September 29th.
I thought we talked October 31st, did we not, for 6 months?
Okay,
Wasn't it 6 months? Isn't that what we talked about? I thought it was
I may
May
have left
1st,
that,
October 31st.
I may have left that note back in my office, but I did. I left that note back in my office.
Didn't we talk about
we can make it till October 31st if you want, so.
Rob and I actually figured out the hours for both the part-time and the seasonal, and
Right.
they're very doable, and
Yeah.
without not breaking any.
I mean, do you see a use need for them in October?
It's a good possibility.
I mean, the weather
because
could still be good and you could still be doing stuff.
We could still be doing there may be some other road repairs we want to do and stuff. It just all depends on how things go this summer, so.
Yeah, I thought we were doing it for 6 months, but
It could be.
Okay.
I remember starting May. I just don't have it in my note of the end
Yep.
date. So
okay.
If you guys want to make it that's fine. I just, for some reason, I thought end of September, but
6 months would be October, so if we
All
want to do that, I'm fine with it.
and then a rate of $14 an hour.
And it is seasonal.
Yes, it is seasonal.
It's fine.
Do I make it or me?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll make a motion to hire Dan Hurst as a seasonal employee from May 1st to October 31st at $14 an hour with a 1-year probation.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
Yes,
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
and should I put not to exceed 1,000 hours into that as well? Because that is that
That's the,
clause, am I correct?
that is
Yeah,
for the seasonal,
probably.
yes.
So I'm gonna add that to my motion.
I'll second it.
Mr.
Well,
Updike?
then, wait. Well, then does that not limit you for flexibility if you need to keep him for additional hours, if you're gonna only say not to exceed? So you don't, to say not to exceed only works against you.
But to be a seasonal employee, they cannot exceed 1,000 hours.
But could you go back and readjust to make him a part-time if you needed him? Or would you? I just
think
didn't
if
want
we
to see
got
us
to
get
that
into a,
boat, then we would address
just
it.
motion it, okay.
Right. I think
Okay.
the way we figured, we would not get even close to 1,000 hours.
Well, Rob and I ran the numbers
It was-
again about a week ago, and we couldn't get them.
Yeah, it wasn't even close.
We couldn't even get,
And he does not want to work
Okay, Teen, I'm a
full-time,
yes on that.
you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 days a week for 26 weeks is 624 hours,
Yeah.
8-hour days.
I thought we figured max like 720 would be it,
Yeah.
and that'd be like 4 days a week.
Yeah,
if we-
yeah, 4 days a week is still not going to make
Yeah.
1,000.
Okay.
Yep.
Even if we work 5 days, 26 weeks, we can get him there.
Yep.
Anything else, Rob?
Yeah, the last thing I have is, we'd made a motion to sell the tar distributor, but I had Jeff put it on Gov Deals for us, and obviously that did not happen. I did have a gentleman come from, I just forgot the name of the company.
Middletown.
He come from Middletown that used,
Something Co. Namco, something Co.
Normac.
Normac.
Normac Industries, it's a paving company in Middletown. And he come and looked at the tar distributor, and he basically said he'd give us 15,000 for it. So
We have more than that in it.
we've got way more than that in it, yes. But
Here's
after,
my thought on this whole thing, I'll just put it out there out front. With what's going on in our government, I think the oil's gonna go up, all the prices are gonna go up, I think the blacktop's gonna go up. I say hold on to it for another year, 6 months, see what happens, then put it back out. And if it does, and that does happen anyway, we still decide to sell it, then it's gonna be worth more as well. Because if that increases, that makes the chip seal that much more.
What did he say when you offered the $18,000 price? Was he a hard no?
I have not went to him and said that because I wanted to wait till after we had a meeting tonight to discuss that. He said that he had the green light for 15,000. And when he was here talking with me, I told him, I said, we've got 30 in it because of repairs we had to do. Well, in talking with everybody, the $10,000 in repairs that we paid $22 for the truck when we bought it. We had to put $10,000 in repairs into it. Those repairs, you're not going to get that money back out of it. They said because of the age of the machine and the year of the truck, the age of the machine, you're just not going to get it because look at basically I've been told it's roughly, if we was to trade it in, Southeastern Equipment would give us 12 to 13,000 on a trade-in for it. They would then in turn list it for 15 to 18,000 to try to sell it. It's what they're telling me. What this guy's saying is, he agrees with that 15 to 18,000 is what it's worth, but he's only got the green light to go 15. I had not called him to say, hey, would you guys go 18 if we could figure out a way to make it happen without you having to go back through Gov Deals, because Gov Deals at 15,000, he's going to have to pay an additional $1,285 in premiums to purchase that truck for 15,000. We won't get that. Gov Deals gets that. So we've been talking with the attorneys, and since we have already put it up for auction, it did not sell. If the trustees make a motion for a certain price, you could offer it to this Normac for that price if they'll accept it to do it. But you guys have to agree to it. But it sounds like, I don't know what it sounds like, but anyway.
Did we have a reserve when it was on Gov Deals? What was it? 30 was the okay.
We had one bid from North Carolina, and I put him in contact with Rob, and it got to 7,800 in 3 weeks.
And then I called that gentleman and said, told him what our bid was, and he goes, well, obviously you guys don't know what you got there, because he goes, the most that I'll go, and this is a guy from North Carolina, when I talked to him, the most he would go was 10,000. At least this guy here in Cincinnati is 5,000 more, but that's because this guy come and looked at it. A guy from North Carolina has never seen it. Just the pictures of it on the internet. So.
Leaving it sit is not doing any good, right? I mean,
Right.
imagine it was clean very well last time it was used, but then it was repaired, and so it's not gonna have material plugging it up or anything like that, that we,
Well, from when I talked to Southeastern, they had it all flowing, all worked with, excuse me, that is the one thing from its setting is, from its setting, it had diesel fuel in it. Some of the emulsion that was on the sides of it, it has broke that loose, come down, that's now settled in the pump. It's not solid, but it needs to be cleaned out again because it's set for a year. Even though they had it all working, they had it all unplugged, but just with it setting with its, I don't know, got 100 or so gallons of diesel fuel in it, and just that setting in there is, you know,
break.
broke that down and caused it to settle down in the pump and caused the solids to settle. They were all mixed up, but
I hear what you're saying, Brett, and I agree that I think oil prices are gonna go up, but I don't wanna sit on it more than 6 months, I don't think, because I think if we do go to sell it, we're gonna end up having to put more money in it, or we're not gonna get as much because it's not operational. That's my take on it. I mean, I'm willing to wait and see if maybe it will go up in value, but I don't want to wait too long. I don't foresee us using it.
Well, I think if you thought you'd have to use it, you'd have to consider the people that we've got to do the job, the work that we would have to do with it, and then connecting with Riley and partnering with them with their asset to do the work. So it's not only just keeping the truck and hoping we can use it, it's all of the pieces that have to come together to be productive. Now that's going to be a reach as well. So you want to get out of it for 15,000, or you want to hope for in a year all that can magically come together and we start paving roads. That's the gamble right there.
So the Riley scenario is the gentleman that knew how to operate the chip spreader is gone.
Right.
And the gentleman that's now the road supervisor wasn't even here when that machine was operable, and the second person that was with their crew ran the roller, so he wasn't even on the machine, and they have a part-time person as well. So again, Rob and I discussed this today about the whole scenario mechanism of people that even can use the machine. And I give you another scenario, Rob, that happened just today. In the middle of the day, they had an EMS call. And you know who the EMS crew was? The 2 road department guys up and left and took somebody. If that was in the middle of our operation, we would have been stuck. We would have been stuck because they took a medical call. That's the way they have it designated now. Their road crew is their daytime EMS folks. And they left and were gone for like 2 hours on an overdose. And if we were in the middle of chip sealing and they left, that would have left our 3. And so it was that happened today as we were about an hour after we discussed this. So I did talk to Jack Grove just because of Rob had gotten this, and I saw the gentleman here that day looking at it. And he said if you wanted to do this, and this is only just what Jack Grove said, you would need a resolution that says the advertised vehicle did not achieve minimum bid on Gov Deals, that you would have to make a motion for a direct sale authorizing, an authorization for a direct sale for a fair and reasonable price to whatever that company is for the $15,000.
So what he's essentially saying is our first motion to put it on Gov Deals, since it didn't meet our minimum bid, that motion is dead.
That motion's dead, which allowed, because it was advertised with government, with taxpayer dollars, with public funds, and it was advertised for a 3-year period, didn't meet it, that then the township can now do a motion to sell it outright as an authorization for a fair and reasonable price to this
So we
company
couldn't
for the
sell it on the
$15,000.
previous motion that was made to put it on Gov Deals.
Right, because that was my issue when Rob came to me about that is, legally, what can we do with public funds? Do we put it back on? What can we do? Because we have a bid now there at $15,000 out the door, and that's what Jack had told me, is that yes, you can just put a resolution that didn't sell at the achieved minimum bid, and now you're now have an authorization for a direct sale for a fair and reasonable price to that company and for $15,000. That way they don't have to pay the $1,600 or whatever the extra commission to Gov Deals.
So they would have already been paying $16,600 for it.
Right,
If
so-
they paid us $15,000.
what I was proposing to do, and that's why I wanted to wait till after tonight, is go back to him and say that, you know, if we can sell it to you directly, what would be your top dollar you would give me? I mean, obviously, the closer to 20,000, I would be a lot happier, but I don't think he's gonna go that much, but, I mean,
Could we approach him with an alt, say, you know, his 15, and we counter at, say, 19.5 or, you know, somewhere in there, and then try to settle in about 17.5 to 18? Because he already would have paid 16.6.
right.
16.8, okay. So he's close to 17, so if we, I mean, it's not gonna get us what we wanted, but I think that might have been a wishful dream to get that much money. I think if we could just go back to him and say, you know, offer him a number and then let him, you know, like counter it. He's made an offer, so we can counter that offer and then see if we can meet in between, you know, like said, we want to get close to 20. If we do 19.5, and then see if he can settle in at 17.5 or 18, somewhere in there. So we have basically coming down from 30.
Right.
And then whatever, if the three of you decide on that, then whatever that fixed price would be, then you would make this resolution at that specific price to that specific company. The legality of it has already been kind of, you know, addressed on how we approach this. It's now up to the three of you if you want to negotiate, however you want to do. But again, I mean, Rob had the gentleman from North Carolina didn't even see it, but said it, and then this gentleman came and physically looked at it and said, that's, you know, that's what you're going to get for it. So it's, I think it's the three of you's discussion now, three of you a discussion on where you go from here.
And just throwing something else, I did see 2 other distributors that were on Gov Deals about the time ours were, and neither one of them sold either. So, and the one was 18,000 is what they had it listed for. I don't know what their reserve was, but it never even brought that. So that was the one, and then the other one, it's an older, way older machine. And it went to 5,000. That one did sell, but it only sold for $5,000. So. But that was a way older machine, all mechanical valves and stuff. So it really doesn't even compare to what we've got. We do have a little bit nicer because it's got the digital readout and the switches that controls the bar and stuff from the cab. You don't have to sit out on the back and flip levers back there like you did with that one that sold for $5, but like this guy said, all the new machines now, they all have oil jackets that go around everything. So, like when it gets cold, if everything's solidified or it gets hard in the spray bar, you just start up a pump and runs heated hydraulic oil through it, warms it all up, and you're back in business, ready to go. So. That's what all the new ones are. That's why this one is only worth so much, because it doesn't have all the brand new ones that they've got all that new stuff in it that makes it easier to operate in colder weather and stuff.
Yeah, and that's how much for a new one?
200,000,
Yeah.
Yeah.
literally 200 to 225,000 for a brand new one. Same size tank and everything, but it's just it has all that stuff on it. So.
So we go with giving Rob the go-ahead to at least contact this gentleman and give him a counter, and then see where he,
I'm good with
see where
it.
he comes back, and then next meeting, let us know what, if he wants to negotiate.
Next meeting's next Monday, right?
Right. Yeah, we're close. It's not like we're waiting 2 or 3
Okay.
weeks. You go with that, Brett, or you want to wait?
You can try it. We'll go from there. We'll see what happens.
I mean, if we got close to 18, I know we want 20. If we got close to 18, would we be
I would feel better about that. I mean,
his just the 15 in the reserve is almost 17,000.
Right.
16,686, so it's real close to 17. I mean,
So what price did you tell him? Or he just come up with 15?
he just come up with 15. I told him I wanted 20 for it. I said, I'm not even gonna go to the trustees and ask them about it unless we get 20. But he says, 15 is what I got the green light to go. He goes, I don't know if I can go any more than that or not. So, but I told him that 20 would probably be the lowest that the trustees would go. But yet, I did not know about this being able to sell direct. I thought I had to go back to Gov Deals, because I told him that we're gonna see about putting it back on. I didn't know we could do a direct sale to him, so that's why I'm gonna call it, hey, we can do a direct sale. This way, you're not going through Gov Deals, you're just dealing directly with Morgan Township.
Right.
And that way, we can get more money out of it, and you still get your machine. But
So we don't have to make that motion that Jack said until we get an offer.
So does a direct sale mean that we could go out publicly now and anybody who wanted to buy that could buy it short of going through an auction
I think it has
website
to
like
be,
GovDeal?
I think it has to be a specific person
a
or company.
specific person. It has to be. You have to name that person in the motion and the exact price. Yes.
All right.
I'd say go back and tell him we're looking for 18.
I would go higher, I would go higher than that. Let it negotiate a little bit, have some wiggle room. If you said you want to get 20, say, well, we'll talk to trustees, they like to get 19.5 and see where if you bought it off of Gov Deals for 15, you'd be close to 17. So, do you have some wiggle room, and they may come back at 18 or right around there, and I think that would be a fair. It might, but,
I mean, he might have already found another piece of equipment and be out of it. Well, we'll know when you call him, Rob. Okay, anything else?
that's all I've got.
All right, Mr. Marshall.
We'll start out with violations. You have those. The three that I've specifically been working on this past 2 weeks, or 3 weeks actually, is 6439 Okeana Druersburg. Mr. Krupp and I are meeting on a bi-weekly basis, and during this past 2 weeks, he managed to move 2 more cars off of the property. He still isn't picking up the junk yet, but I understand his wife is recuperative from her operations, and she's going to be working on that. I will be continually meeting with him. I meet physically on the property and look at it. Just to bring you guys up to date, I have, other than what I sent you in the emails concerning 6806 Dallas, I have prepared a letter for the vehicles, which I will be sending out today concerning the junk vehicles, because I'm using the 18.971 resolution or article in the zoning regulation, and I can be signing that letter without you guys signing it. Then at 3874 Schonling Road, the owner is cleaning the debris pile that's in the back of his building. That's there. He's been working on that very steadily. And those are the 3 big ones that I've been working with. I will be picking up a couple more here next week. Any questions there on violations and stuff? Okay, certificates. We have the end of the first quarter was the 31st of March, of course. And I'll give you my quarterly summation there. We had 2 new home certificates, 5 addition certificates, 9 accessory structures, 1 in-ground pool, 2 decks, 2 fences, and then we had 3 lot splits, for a total of about 21 certificates altogether, with a revenue of $3,607. And then since the closure of the quarter, I've had one other certificate, and that's been it. As you can see, another accessory structure going in on Millville Shandon at 2561. This one will look like it's not going to meet the setbacks. It will look from the road like it won't, but we worked very hard, and he will be able to meet the setbacks on it. So if I get any calls on it, or anything else like that, we'll be able to show that he did work the setbacks on it. He had a very strange lot, and his house was placed very strangely on it, and we worked very hard for him not to have to go after a variance. The zoning commission, we met last week, or well, on the 7th, actually. We reviewed Articles 18, 19, and 21, which we've been wanting to do for quite a while. And out of that, we're going to be moving the telecommunications regulations that we have there in 21. We're going to be moving them to 18. 18 is called special provisions. And so and really that is kind of a special provision. Some of the other special provisions are parking lots, the temporary signs, which is another thing I'd like to speak to. The signs that you see on the corner of Chapel Road, down there, are really supposed to have a certificate because they are temporary signs advertising a job or a business.
Oh, I thought you meant the other ones.
I thought you meant the other one too.
The other ones are questionable in its own right, but I can't do anything about people's freedom of speech there, okay? That's a biggie. It's the size of the sign and the fact that I didn't get any kind of notice that the signs were going up. It is important that those of you who are listening today out there, that at least call me and say, hey, I'm going to put up a sign. You know, I'm going to ask you what size it is. And if it's one of those temporary signs like that, I'm not going to charge you. I'm just going to note that it's there.
So is it for a business, or if it's advertising yard sale, or
A
what?
yard sale and stuff like that, I wouldn't bother, but the businesses where it's actually, there's a power washer there. The fire department's sign is fine because it's government related, because we still have the 887777 sign there.
The other one's the
But if you go
shop apparel, I think, the new
Yeah, small
shop,
town.
the small town shop.
shop, right? And
So like when Baker's puts up a sign or Munchkin's Furniture's, when they do their Bakeramas, they need to let you know, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, and they need to go down within 60 days. That's the regulations on the signs,
60 days.
Temporary sign.
From the time they,
from the time they put them up to 60 days past. Okay? Not that I am going to be dead on the 60 days or anything else like that. It's just becoming, they're just building up. I mean, the corner
Rob,
there.
what do you got?
You mean to tell me when we go to run a fire levy, we gotta do the same thing when we put out temporary
No, political-
signs?
Political signs are different. Okay?
How's it different?
You can run a political sign 365 days a year, as long as you want,
Okay,
and we can't touch it.
okay.
Okay.
That changed
are
2
they
years
just,
ago.
if they're in like a
4 years
road
ago.
right away, or if they put something in somebody's front yard?
Well, if it's in their front yard, it's a little different. There's regulations for it for either way, but most of these are in the right of way. I mean,
Right.
The ones we're seeing.
In the road right
In the
away.
road right of way. I've had, if you remember Okeana Food Mart, I've had Okeana Food Mart have signs all the way down there, and they were all in the right of way, and I had to move them over and take them out of there, okay? Legitimately. So I'm not going to be a sign policeman, but I will be watching, all right? You will be receiving all the changes to the zoning resolution in May. along with the changes that we are doing in the moving the several things around. We do not have to have your approval on us moving things around within the thing, within the resolution. In other words, I can move it
Only
from
if it
one art-
changes.
Only if I make text changes, do I need you guys to. And then I wanted to talk about the business registration, because I understand that on the 19th,
Well, that's what we got to talk about tonight.
right, you're going to
Got
talk
to
about it tonight,
Get-
right?
we
So
need
we'll
to
go ahead
get
and
the-
talk about it now.
Yep, we need to get the input of the fire department because we want them there.
Right.
We talked about it during, it was brought up during the zoning
Hearing.
hearing, but we couldn't just agree on it. First off, you guys weren't here to input, and second, that wasn't the intent of that meeting, so we couldn't bring it up.
In other words, the commission wants a work session and get possibly like the fire and the fire inspectors. And I mentioned us possibly doing a video. What all happens in a fire inspection? Maybe we come up with like 10 questions that we think they're gonna ask and we answer those in this video.
We talked about that about 2 months ago, and I had identified Lieutenant Browning and Captain Fawns to do that video, but we haven't done it yet because Lieutenant Browning was on a 3-week hiatus for his new job, so he was off for like a 3-week period. But we can certainly do that once we know what.
Do you think they could make it at the 19th if we come in at 6 for like a work session where we all meet?
I don't
and
think they
talk?
need to have the video yet, but at least.
Yeah,
we
no,
would
I
know-
wouldn't do
we
the
would know
video
what the
until we
questions
know.
are.
Yeah, the video can happen after we know
Right.
what the questions and all are.
Right.
The 19th, let's see here.
If you could do that, or one of the next meetings, see, and then we will let the commission know, and then we can all try to meet before one of our township meetings
Like
at 6
6
for a work
o'clock.
session.
For a work session.
Okay, let me just see real fast. The 19th would be, actually, Lieutenant Browning would be here on shift, and I can see what Captain Fawn's availability is, so we can at least have Lieutenant Browning here.
I think the biggest question, I know I've got questions is, what businesses do you want to register? Everything? Or do you want,
Well, we would like to register everything, just for
well,
that. because-
that's what I got from when we talked last.
Right. But for the fire department to inspect, it would probably be those that we classed as Class 2.
Or what a fire code calls
Calls
for
for,
occupancy,
right.
number of occupancies, hazardous materials, storage, things like that. The fire code will identify a lot of that stuff right off the bat.
Right.
And that's where one of those folks will have to, because I just don't know the codes like they do, to say this is mandatory as it is. And then you can elaborate further from the mandatory and say, well, a child care one or the ones that have, whatever, if there's a winery or whatever pops up in the township, yes. But it's going to be a lot of what's in the fire code, and usually the two things that have that is right off the bat is occupancy, means of egress, how many exit doors that a place has, and then that hazardous material storage. So, yep.
So do you know of any other townships that have crossed this bridge as far as, I guess our biggest obstacle is having people come forward to register.
Yeah.
Do we do that, like an open house and say, okay, all businesses, owners come in? Or how do we get the word out to let them know that this is what we need?
Great question.
And that's
That-
one of the
that's- that's
reasons
the
I thought we
obstacle.
would discuss
might-
With the
in the work
website
session.
and the
Website.
video, they can actually view it and not be here, because some of them are gonna be intimidated, don't even wanna be here to start with. Maybe they can kind of see what we're doing, why we're doing it. More or less, it's for the safety of the fire code, our fire guys, them themselves as a business and their neighbors.
Yeah.
I mean, because if they're storing the wrong chemical next to the wrong chemical and something happens, that's dangerous for them, for you guys.
Yep.
And from the zoning portion of it, it is the fact that all of those things that are currently happening in the township are now grandfathered in, and we need to know what's there. It's our knowledge there. That's for the smaller ones, like the class ones, you know, like, it's like the electrical contractor who parks his truck out front and yet runs his business inside. You know, he has nothing else stored or anything else like that. We just want to know that that's happening there too.
I know everybody assumed that we were going after businesses and gonna shut businesses down for running in a residential area. We had a lot of input. People were, I mean, the room was filled. People are like, you know, why don't you let us register? I'll even pay a yearly fee, you know, to let me run my business. So we had some traction there for a little bit, but I think we lost that. I don't know how to revitalize that.
Well, I think we're doing it free to start with, am I
Right.
correct?
Yes.
And then maybe the years after, we
That's
might
right.
do a small fee
Yeah.
and keep it, but I think a lot of it's just getting the knowledge out to them, getting like a video or something that they can actually go and see, that they don't feel like if they're there, we're writing their name down and taking them.
Right.
So they can kind of see what we're
Right.
doing
I
and
think-
why we're doing it.
I think if you want we got to describe what we're looking for, who we want to come register. You know, is it somebody that's got a daycare in their basement and they watch 3 kids? Is that a business? I mean, what is the criteria that meets our definition of a business? That's what we need to get out.
Right.
Because, you know, you could have somebody doing taxes right now this time of year. Is that a business? Fire departments, obviously, they're not going to inspect that, but is that what we want to get listed, you know, for them to register? So I think that's what we need to, that's what the workshop's going to do, is and we're not going to get them all the first time. And then we can add to it, but these are the ones that, let's categorize it. These are the ones we definitely need to get now. We need to get, you know, these manufacturing type businesses that have a lot of chemical storage and things like that. That's what we need to get first, and then build upon it instead of
that's
saying
next-
we want everybody now.
That's next Monday, it's 1800, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock
Okay,
on the 19th.
I'm making myself a note, so I'll invite, one's already here on shift, and I'll invite Captain Fawns. Okay,
Dale, you gonna let the commission know then? Okay.
I think they kind of.
Well, Ken Tumlinson is pretty much, knows that already, and we discussed it in the 7th meeting, 7th.
Him and
April
Chris.
7th. Him and Chris will be the representatives from the zoning commission, but if the other 3 show up, we've got room.
More than welcome. I think the more the merrier, the better.
Right, I agree with that, because I'm following their desires, not me forcing mine on them. Okay? All right, and then around Morgan Township, today, all I got were telephone calls concerning noise on Shanling Road. There is a resident who has built a pole barn, and he's bringing his concrete trucks there to park overnight and going out in the morning. That's all he's doing, but apparently it's making too much noise to the neighbors. At this point in time, I cannot, there has been a Court of Appeals ruling on that type of business dealings. It's out of Stark County, and it was the same exact thing that the gentleman in Stark County and the township zoning, the neighbors complained that the concrete trucks were going back and forth in the mornings and then coming home in the evenings. And the appellate court ruled in favor of the resident, of the business
Of the
owner.
business, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so that, once that ruling is there, there's not much I can do to cut it up, other than, this person's gonna go out with his concrete trucks, he's gonna do his service out there in the world, he's not doing it on his property. That's it. So, and the other one is, I'm making this complaint, and I know there's nothing we can super do about it, but just gunfire of target practice is driving me crazy around my house, okay?
I got them shooting right across the street, it won't even phase me.
I know, well, it does me because, I mean, they're shooting 2 doors down from me on everything else. But I just, you know, it's just one of the things, we can't do much about noise unless we made a noise ordinance. And that would be up to you guys to decide if you wanted to do it. The other thing that I noticed, and we were discussing in the zoning, after the zoning commission, I received a call from a real estate appraiser concerning the 30 acres on Morgan Ross Road owned by the Ingalls. That's mainly because, as you know, Miss Ingle passed away just recently, and so they are working up the estate and the amount of the estate and everything else. But I wanted just to remind you that 30 acres is still M1, okay, and everything else. So if you hear anything or see anything about 30 acres being up for sale in the corner of Morgan Ross down near the Butterfields, you know where I'm talking about, right? And everything, down on Morgan Ross there, just before you cross the county line, and it sets, the 30 acres is way back over past the over the railroad tracks. Just to be aware that that it is manufacturing one, and the only thing that could really go in there would be a manufacturer. Okay. And that's all I have, unless you have something for me.
All right, thank you, Dale. Mrs. Cox?
Okay.
Hold on, are you got your mic on? I can't hear you.
Yes. Okay. I need approval for a PO to LCNB for the equipment bond installment payment in the amount of $23,766.50 from Fund 2111, of which $20,900 is the principal and $2,866.50 is the interest.
Second?
Mr. Updike?
It-
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Okay, I also need approval for a PO to Butler County Engineer for $1,760 for the salt brine mix from Fund 2011.
So moved?
Second?
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Cole? Yes. Approval for a then and now PO to Dr. Huff for medical direction from 1/1/21 to 6/30/21 with a now date of 4/12/21 and a then date of 1/1/21.
In the amount of what? Or it's just a PO, or do you have a dollar amount for it?
I don't have a dollar amount. This was something that Connie set up.
Isn't it usually like $5,000?
We pay him twice a year, and it's
So do we do
I
it
was
for
gonna
like
say,
it's
10,000?
usually 12,000 a year, so it's usually 6 and 6.
Yeah, it went up.
He went up. She was, let me see if she answers me. She was just texting me about the paving a few minutes ago.
Because I know it used to be 5,000 something, it
Yeah.
went up this last
So
time.
we went to 12? So it'd be 6 and 6.
I think the last one went to 12.5. I think we gave him a little bit of a raise.
Let me, can you go to the next one and come back to that one?
You want to
Tina?
make it for 7, and it'll be a
So
little
is
bit
this only,
over, and we
this is
should be
only for
good.
6 months, though?
Correct.
Yeah.
So should we just make it for like 6,500?
Make it for
I would like
7.
because we should give him a raise every year a little bit. It's still much cheaper than anybody else we can get. Far none. We're still saving $7,000 a year. Minimum usually about $20,000 a year.
Doesn't he give us a bill? How do we?
He does.
He gives us a bill based on what,
I-
every time I tell him we gave him a raise and he sends us a bill for that amount.
This came today. I just looked at this right before the meeting. I'm like, where did this come from? Because Dr. Huff usually sends us a bill and all, and Tina said, well, Connie put this on for tonight. So I got a little thrown off on this one because usually he sends us a bill. He usually sends through Chief Griffith a bill.
Do we want to wait on this until we get a bill from him?
We won't get the bill till June.
He usually doesn't bill us till June. That's kind of the one thing with Dr. Huff. We need him to get it before before, because Connie thinks processing it. Let me see here, she'll answer me.
All right, you want to just go on?
Yeah, let's go to
Yeah.
number 4, and we'll come back to that one.
Okay. Need approval for a PO to the Treasurer, State of Ohio, for $7,000 for the financial audit.
Second.
Mr. Updike? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Okay. Another approval for a PO to the Treasurer, State of Ohio, in the amount of $3,504 for UAN fees.
Did you say 2,000 or 3,000?
3.
Okay, 3, so moved.
Second.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Okay. Approval for a PO from Fund 2111 for $3,000 for operating supplies.
Well, you don't have that on your list. You're throwing me off.
I don't.
I don't see it.
What number are you on?
6.
We got per state audit. If you receive any money for the township, it must be given.
No. Evidently, you have the old one. I'm sorry.
So $3,000 for office supplies? Is that
Operating supplies.
operating supplies? So moved.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Who is it? Who's the PO out for?
It's for Fund 2111 for the fire fund.
It's a PO to who? Read it again. I'm sorry.
Approve a PO from Fund 2111 for $3,000 for operating supplies.
So is that just an open PO?
Yeah.
Is it, what,
It's not on our list.
it's not a list.
No.
Who made that requesting?
Connie Cohn told me to put it on.
Okay. Jeff and Chief, do you know anything about that?
I don't know, because it's possible that that account, the operating, the POs went down below what she normally keeps as an open PO.
So it's just an open
Yes.
PO?
That's what it is.
It's
It
an open
needs-
PO for that line item is what it is, but
So it's transferring money, basically?
yeah, it's just, that PO got low and she's wanting it open further up, so.
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Colby had said yes. Mr. Brucker?
Yes.
Mr. Updike?
Yes.
Okay. You might
Sorry,
not
I didn't
have
mean
this.
to question you, but
Oh, no, that's all right. You might not have this one. Requested advance to the Road and Bridge Fund,
Yep, you
which
got
is
that.
Fund 2031, and it's for payroll purposes because we haven't got our money from Butler County as yet.
I think that's number 8 on our list.
Okay, from the general fund, which is Fund 1000, in the amount of $10,000.
Yeah, we got it.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Updike, Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Brucker.
yes.
Okay.
Just a heads up. So I talked to Connie today, she was in here earlier today, and they've received a notification that the tax dollars should be in the account soon with the numbers and the figures, but it's not in there yet. So some of this moving POs around is because some of the accounts got low or the POs ran out before the anticipated tax dollars came in to roll back in, so.
Yeah, on VSS, it shows that the payment to us is pending.
Yes, so it's saying pending, and it's got the figure there and all that, which means that it's close to being transferred, electronic transfer into Morgan Township's accounts.
But we'd rather have
So-
money in there just in case and you need it, and if you don't, then we're in
Right,
trouble.
because I'll need it for that one, for the payroll for
Yep.
the road department.
So Connie texted me, she's actually watching.
Yep, says a BC, not a PO.
Yeah, that should be a BC.
Well, I'm not sure what a BC.
I'm not sure what a BC is. Just wait until you get the bill. It will still have to be a then and now, so.
Is that for Dr. Huff?
Let me ask her what a BC is.
It's a blanket certificate.
A blanket certificate.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So she's asking for a blanket certificate, not a PO, a blanket certificate for Dr. Huff's expenses for the year is
Okay.
what that is, not a PO.
Does it
Okay.
need to have an amount associated with it for a blanket?
She said it does not, because we
No.
haven't had the bill yet. We're just
And
making
we
that
haven't
blank-
decided what we're gonna pay him
We
this
just
year.
have a
Okay.
blanket PO for Dr. Huff for the year, a blanket certificate, not a PO, and that's where the confusion is. It's a blanket certificate
All right.
for that. So she said, wait on Dr. Huff. She just said, wait on Dr. Huff. Okay, so let's take number 3 off your agenda, Tina, until we get the bill.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so there will not be a blanket certificate for 3,000?
No,
Okay. I have, per the state auditor, when they did the audit, if any money is collected for any reason, the fiscal officer has to have it that day, or if it's in the evening, the very next morning, because there's a time limit on depositing money that we were unaware of.
Copy that.
Okay. And also, we were in open enrollment for our healthcare benefits. I gave everyone, Rob, I gave you 2 of the coverage, the benefits. And if anyone needs to change any of their healthcare, I have forms and I would be happy to give them to you.
Well, I'm the same. You guys all the same? I
Same,
assume?
no change.
I'm not,
No
That's all I
change
have.
that I know of.
Okay.
Rob, no change with you and Mark?
Not that I know of, but I need to go through it and need to give it to him to go through this. I just got them tonight, so. I don't believe there's gonna be any change, but need to make sure.
Ain't nothing in the oven?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
I was meaning more for Mark, but we're done.
I don't think so.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. You didn't have anything?
Well, I did have one thing I want to bring up. I had a phone call from, or had talked to a resident about the railroad track down at Alert, New London, and Chapel. And it was in the railroad area itself where the concrete or the blacktop is breaking up. So he said, who maintains that? So I understand from Rob that the Indiana and Ohio Railroad Company owns that and maintains all that track.
Yep.
So I had made contact with them to ask them about doing some repair right at that track crossing. So I had called and was not able to get the right person, but then sent them an email. So I'm waiting to hear back on that. But historically, it sounds like they're very slow on responding to maintenance problems with their track. So.
Slow?
But
That's an
here-
understatement.
But here's the thing. Now, there's a railroad commission in the state of Ohio who oversees all railroad operations. Same way like in the insurance company, there's an insurance commission that oversees process and procedure and due diligence of the company to the public. So the next step would be asking the railroad commission or asking the Indiana, Ohio if they would be interested in discussing it with us and the Railroad Commission to say, what can you do to ensure that our crossing areas are up to code? Because they're not. People ride a bicycle across that quite frequently and drive cars, so it's a pop mark, it's a risk, it's a hazard. So I'm looking into that, see where that goes. If we get any resolution on that, I'll let everybody
Last time it
know.
took us about 3 years. We had the PUCO, we had the Railroad Commission. Basically, they can tell them, but they can't make them do anything.
Okay. Then I don't expect much.
And the only way we got it fixed is when they got a grant, and then they got money for something for some reason. That's the only reason we got it fixed.
Is it
Then I
Indiana,
don't
Ohio,
know.
or is it Indiana Eastern?
That's what Rob said. He said, don't hold your
It's
breath.
Indiana Eastern Railroad.
Indiana Eastern.
It's Indiana Eastern Railroad. They're based
I
out of
got it.
Richmond.
I don't have it with me. I got it in my
It's
phone book
Indiana
that's at
Eastern.
work.
The numbers are on the signs there at all the crossings. It's Indiana Eastern.
Okay.
And they are financially strapped, yes. So,
On that particular crossing, it was probably 3 months ago, maybe longer. There was actually somebody out there with a saw and cut a rectangle out right next to the track and left it. And it's now probably 1.5 inches or so deep. You know, I wouldn't say culvert, it's just basically a cut.
Like they were
cut
cutting
in
it to put
they were-
cold
they were-
patch or
I thought they
something.
were gonna cut it and patch it, but they never patched it. You cut it up and made it square, or rectangle, squared off the edges.
That
You know what I'm
almost looks,
talking?
that almost looks like the hole that's in the middle of the intersection.
Right.
Yeah.
And did you say it was off to the side?
No,
or
that's where it was, right in the middle of the intersection. He cut
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
3 foot by 1 foot
Yeah.
rectangle and squared it off because he had the road closed when he did it.
But
And-
I see maintenance going up and down that track quite often. Well, not quite often,
they
but
were there
every
the other
once in a
day.
while I'll see.
They were there the other day with a little track machine, yellow thing, bringing the ties back up. I saw them go by. They're right there at Race Lane. So they do maintenance to it, but it's just a small scale railroad that runs from Richmond, Indiana, over to Crosby Township to the phosphorus plant over there. That's all that route
When
goes.
Fernald moved out, they lost their money.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Basically, they barely survived with what they got.
yep,
Okay, I'll recall, make sure we got the right people in.
Indiana Eastern.
Maybe that'll,
yeah.
at least we'll get it on the right track. No pun
That's-
intended. That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Brocker?
We have a contact us page or link at the top of our webpage, and apparently people have been writing into us, and the notification as part of that wasn't working. It would normally notify me and let me know that we got somebody sending a request or a comment or something. So I went back and I contacted Rob, I contacted Dale with some of them. Some of them were older, and I went back to the first of the year and looked at those. One that came in probably last week, it was concern on a tree on Race Lane that split and potential falling not only on the bridge itself, but also a vehicle or a person or whatever. So I had Rob go down and look at it. He couldn't find it because the address, it said 1457 Race Lane. But after contacting the gentleman, that's the bridge number, not the address that it was close to. So Rob knows where it's at now. And Rob, we talked a little bit about it this morning. Do you want to explain the situation?
Yeah, it's a hackberry tree that's on the east side of Race Lane Road, right by that bridge there. It's got 2 forks that come out, and I think what the guy's talking about is on the right fork closest to the road, you can see a little split in that fork. And I guess when the winds are really blowing, I guess it really gets a sway and it really comes
So
open.
which bridge is this? Is this the one by Hasselbrook, or is this?
It's not the big bridge going over Dry Fork Creek. It's a bridge that goes over a small tributary coming out of Hasselbrook's field.
It's between
One on around
New
before you
London
get to
and
the-
Buck
It's
Ridge.
on Race Lane Road. It's a bridge that actually has Race Lane Road go over it,
Okay.
but it's down south of Alert New London Road. It's the first one you come to south of Alert New London Road.
Okay.
And it's
Kind of in the.
the drainage way that comes down the front of Hasselbrook's, down along Alert New London, and it comes under Alert New London, cuts over, goes under Race Lane, and then comes into
I know where
Dry
you're
Fork
at.
Creek. And on this tree that's there's actually a no trespassing sign nailed right to the one that's leaning out over the road is what they're talking about. So it makes it pretty easy to see. Once he told me that was a bridge number, not an address, I'm like, okay, I know which tree it is now. I seen that, but I didn't look at it that close because it's not a dead tree. It's all still alive. But yet I went back down today and looked at it even closer. You can see where it is split from all the swaying and stuff. But
So explain, it's not really in the road right away, but
It's right at the
Right.
edge of the road right away. The trunk of the tree is right at the edge. However, this tree is hanging out over the road, right over top the bridge. Would hit the bridge if it was to fall. I don't know if it would hurt the bridge or not because it's all concrete, but there is the potential that it could fall and hit somebody's car. Now, in looking for this tree, I was driving up and down Race Lane Road trying to see something. There is a great big sycamore tree on the county's part that is dead, and it has had several limbs come out over the years in the road that I've had to go push off with a backhoe, and that one needs to come down too, but that's on the county's part, so.
So is this something that, in your estimation, needs to be addressed now? You think this thing's gonna fall in the next 60-mile-an-hour windstorm?
Right now, looking at it, I think it'd be fine, but then again, who knows if you have the right wind hits it the right way, it's gonna snap it off, so.
Is that something you guys can do, as the road crew?
I
or-
think we could probably do it ourselves, yeah. I'd have to close the road down for probably a half hour, an hour to drop it and get it pulled off the road or whatever, or shoved off the road, so.
Okay with letting him do it?
Yeah, if it's a hazard, I say yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks, Rob. Also, got a complaint of dogs barking on Howard Road. I responded, and there's really no ordinance for dogs barking. The person was concerned because their husband is sick, fighting cancer, and when nice days, he likes to go out, and he can't stand the dogs barking, but
This would be this would be the dog kennel, I'm not sure, probably. Okay.
yeah.
And
It's
there,
near,
and there again, it's agricultural, it's animal husbandry.
It's near 9922 Howard Road.
9922,
Yep.
I think that's it.
So, okay.
I don't think the cops will do anything about that either, would they?
Not-
Or if
not
it's
during
getting
the
too
day.
noisy?
Not during the day. There's
Not
really
during the day,
no,
only at night.
No.
there's really no noise ordinances, and
Nope. And then if it is the kennel, then it's still,
even if it's,
even if it
it's
were,
a individual has two dogs and they're barking, there's nothing
Yeah.
we can do about it. So, all right, I think I talked, last meeting, was talking with president of the PTO for Morgan Elementary, Angela Meyer, and she requested to use the grassy area out front of our admin building on Thursday, April 29th for a flower sale. I told her she had to get, put us as a rider on their insurance policy. She said she was going through all that to do that. But anyway, apparently things changed and they now are able to use Morgan Elementary's property, so they're not going to be using our property for their flower sale pickup, is what it was for. So I think that's it.
Alrighty, all right, I got a request, or actually got an email yesterday, a request
That was
for
also on. but
a
you said you were
township
drawing.
library.
Yeah.
And what this is, I'll read you. It says, "Hi Brett, my daughter Frankie is working on her Silver Award project for Girl Scouts. She is thinking of building a little library and placing it at a Morgan Township location. Is there something that would be allowed by the township? I know there was one at Ross, but we would like to have, or like one out here at Morgan. What are your thoughts on moving forward with this?" Personally, I think that'd probably be a good little idea. I mean, they have them at Ross, they have them all over different little towns, and they do book exchange. We just have to figure out where. The girl wants to talk to us and actually present it for her Girl Scouts. So I got with Griffith about doing possibly a Zoom because she is where she can't be out in the public. compromised immunity.
system.
So if everyone here is good with it, we will do a Zoom with her at our next township meeting and let her present that to us. And as far as I'm concerned, I guess it's up to you guys whether we want to, but I say we can find a place here at the township and do a little book reserve for the kids, as long as you guys are all good with it.
They have them down at Harrison, and they're really, they're attractive and well done, and it seems like they get used quite a bit, especially during the summer when kids want to find new material to read, or it's just it's an attractive way to pick up a book.
Yeah,
Of the
one-
book? Okay. And she actually sent one too. All right, let me pull these up real quick. Rob. Is that the one in Ross?
That's right in front of the admin building. Right in front of the admin
We
building.
got one here. You want to come over here?
If you park next door to go to Flubs, it's right there.
There's one. They got a police officer on it and that. Let me get the other picture.
That's
Okay.
one of the front, side, and back.
And there's the little book thing.
Do you know who made these?
Well, she would actually be making it. That's,
okay.
that would be her project. to
But I mean,
actually-
as far as, do you, probably somewhere down in the school district.
And then she sent me one. Let me see where it is. Let me go. No, it might have been an email. A picture of one too. I gotta find where she sent it. Nope, wrong area. New phone, so give me a second. And there was a picture of one that she sent. She said you can actually buy them, and then they put them together. Supposedly her and her dad was going to try to do it for the a project. So I said I would introduce everything.
Was she thinking of one, or maybe a couple, one or two?
One that I know of, but
Okay.
I don't know if there's more girls that want to do that too. Because I figured possibly one here. You could even do one at the community center, maybe even one at the other firehouse in Shandon.
That's what I was thinking, is the Shandon station. It's like very visible right there.
So we have three possibilities. Because we could do one like in that little, if it's got a roof in that, right out there, or that little grassy area, the little knoll in between, or somewhere around. I don't
Yeah,
know
this
what would be the
would be a
best.
good spot. It's not too busy to get in here and get out, and especially the fire station is, if you keep it closely linked to the community.
Well, if the parents are dropping off recyclings, the
Yeah.
kid can check out the books.
Well, that and a lot of, several kids, moms park at the Shandon station waiting for the bus. That's a bus pickup, so they're right in that
Yep.
parking lot in the mornings.
Yep. So that would be good too. So
Okay.
you guys like the idea and we'll let
Yeah.
her present?
Yeah, real
We'll
good.
do that during the normal meeting since we got the
I was
zoning.
gonna try to bring her at Zoom, like they're around a little right after 7. May we do
Okay.
that right when I go to audience?
That's fine. Yep.
Pull her up there, we'll let her present at the beginning and go on if you guys are good with it.
It's fine.
Yes.
All right, the other thing, Rob, is there, correct me if I'm wrong, there's a plaque down at the community center and one here that I need to update, is that correct? Last time I took it to Cincinnati Recognition, which is just right down the street on Route 130 from where I work. And the guy's always been really reasonable. He's the one that updated them last time. As long as you guys are fine, I'll go ahead and grab those plaques and then update, because I think we got like 3 of them that need to be done to get them up to where we're at.
What kind of plaques are these?
It tells who's the trustee, who was the physical officer, like 2016, it was Huff. Brucker, me, then Lila, and then Connie
One's
was
right out here on
appointed.
the hall.
Oh, okay,
There's one there, and then there's
Yeah.
one down in the community center, if I remember right.
yeah.
And I updated them once before, but if you get too far ahead and then someone leaves and then someone gets appointed, you have to go back and redo the plaque. So I wait till
Okay.
a little bit later and then put them in. As long as you guys are good, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay.
The other thing I got in the mail is Butler Rural Electric, and for us for the voting, they got, so if we want to decide that after the meeting, there's 3 people there, or 3 spots and 6 people running, 2 for each spot. And then here's the candidates if you guys want to read.
I saw
So if we can do that,
Got it.
and we'll decide who we want after the meeting. I think that's it.
Got one thing. So Connie texted me. So the $3,000 should have been a blanket certificate for operating supplies, not a PO.
Okay.
It's just a blanket certificate because low, and we don't need a vote for a blanket certificate. That was just an informational thing.
Okay.
So
All right.
Yep, that's what the clarification was.
All right. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, Mr. Updike?
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Rob, you still need an executive session? Okay.
All right. Let me take this to her real quick.
I gotta shut that.
Hmm?